Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March. I just wanted to come on quickly and show you yet another collection that I'm excited about. I actually wanted to make a confession. I ended my subscription with Book of the Month Club because, quite honestly, I was not really excited about the selections from month to month. Some months were better than others, but I wasn't really taking advantage of the new releases that they were putting out on that program, and I just wasn't excited about it. So I figured, I think I'm gonna save the $14.99 per month and do something different. So what I wanted to find was something that I thought I would really enjoy and that possibly would continue to feed my desire to read really rich literature and possibly classics and get a little bit more into history. So I think I've done that. I started a subscription to the Library of America, and as it states in its title, Library of America is a publishing company that publishes either classic or modern classic American literature by American authors. And so I have a small collection here that I wanted to show you that I've been gathering a little bit over time. And I did open a subscription with them. And what that means is I think it's every 2 months. I only just started it. But as you'll see, I've already purchased several other additional books. But I think it's every other month. It's $24.99, which is less than what Book of the Month Club was costing me. And you fill out a very long form and a selection sheet of all the different books that you would like to receive. And what they do is when they charge your subscription account, they pull a book to ship to you that is from your own list. It's from the books that you indicated that you would like to receive. So it's never really a complete random surprise. You don't ever receive a book that you didn't indicate that you would like. And so when I went through the selection sheet, there were a lot of books that I already had. So I made sure I did not select those. And when you initially go up to set up the subscription, you get a book deal. So you pick 1 or 2 books that are your initial purchase, and then they send you another book for free along with that. All of the normal book subscription perks, I think many, if not most of them, are very similar. You get a really good deal up front, and then you pay a certain amount every month or every few months, and you get a book out of it. Along with that, which is what's dangerous for me and my budget, are the sales and are the additional volumes that they publish and the additional books that are available. And they have a really, really good clearance page and clearance bookstore online. And I've gotten some really great stuff. So what I'm going to show you first are the initial books that I ordered and received. Now, Library of America puts out hardcover books that are slipcased, and you all know how much I love that. So I'm going to show you first the book that I received for free in my initial purchase. And this is what it looks like. This is the slipcase that they come in, and it's very pretty. The Library of America logo right here. It's got gold foil on it. And then this is the book inside. They come in different colors, and had I looked into it, I may have been able to find what the colors mean, if anything. I don't really know. So this is a really nice red hardcover volume of James Weldon Johnson's writings. There's the end papers, again with the Library of America logo right on it. This also has, some of them have photos and illustrations. I just had one, and now the page, here we go. Childhood portrait, right there. And the Library of America books have the ribbon bookmark, and it coordinated to match the book, of course. James Weldon Johnson, the parts of this book, they're writings or essays. And the essays that are included are numerous, but some of them include the autobiography of an ex-colored man, Along This Way, essays and editorials, and selected poems. Let's see. Oh, and I'll show you this. Along with the book, you get this little, I'm dropping stuff. You get this little explanation. It's kind of a summary. It tells a little bit about Johnson's bio, and it's got a summary of his writings and publications. This is very similar to the Sandglass pamphlet that I showed you that came in my previous slipcase books from the Heritage Press. And so this is really handy. And this has a little bit of a bio of James Weldon Johnson. His career is one of extraordinary range, spanning the worlds of diplomacy as U.S. consul in Venezuela and Nicaragua, politics as secretary of the NAACP, journalism as founder of one newspaper and longtime editor of another, musical theater as lyricist for the Broadway songwriting team of Cole and Johnson Brothers, and literature as novelist, poet, and anthologist. In a crucial period of African-American history at the dawn of what would become the modern civil rights movement, he forged a record of accomplishment that defied the odds. The Library of America now presents a collection of his writings that displays the many facets of a complex and impassioned writer. So James Weldon Johnson's first book was The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man, which was published in 1912. It's a really, really nice volume. The paper is nice, but it's some of that thinner paper. It's almost transparent, but not really. So it's a really nicely formatted book, and very much a collector's edition in its own slipcase, which I really like. The next one is this one. They all come in the same slipcases. They're not all identical, but the three that I have are. So they all come in this cream-colored slipcase and with the gold foil. And this one is James Baldwin's Early Novels and Stories, this really pretty forest green. And the end papers match the outside of the book. The naked hardback is kind of a fabric cover. This book has early novels and stories, including Go Tell It on the Mountain, Giovanni's Room, Another Country, and Going to Meet the Man. And as a bonus, it's edited by Toni Morrison. So really, really, really happy with this purchase. I was glad that this is one of the selections that Library of America publishes. Now, the last one is, again, same slipcover. This is a really pretty, an additional green volume with the green fabric. Zora Neale Hurston's Novels and Stories. And this one, green end papers. This one includes Jonah's Gourd Vine, Their Eyes Were Watching God, Moses, Man of the Mountain, Seraph on the Swanee, and Selected Stories. And this one is edited by Cheryl A. Wall. Their Eyes Were Watching God is kind of a bonus in this for me. I have read that in the past, but just, I can't say enough. Why am I bothering showing you this collection? Because this is exciting to me because what I've noticed is they offer a lot of American writers who are not really ever included in American literary canon. James Baldwin and Zora Neale Hurston and several other African-American authors who, when you look at any type of lists of Western canons, they often, if not every single time, may be on a certain list here and there, and I'm seeing them more on lists of great American literature. But when I noticed that those were some of the selections, I took advantage of that because I was really excited to read those authors. Now, the next pile of books are paperbacks, and Library of America, as I said, has a really good clearance section and books on sale, and for members, you get a pretty good deal on additional selection of books that they've got on lower prices and, periodic sales here and there. This one is Frederick Douglass, The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave. And the particular Library of America paperbacks are done in this format. I think all of them so far are on white with an author photograph and the red, white, and blue color here. And I think like this paperback may have been $5 on sale. And again, excited to snatch this one up. This one is W.E.B. Du Bois, The Souls of Black Folk. And this one has an introduction by John Edgar Weideman, if anybody is familiar with him, another great African-American author. Again, this was a volume on sale, and I think one of the reasons why Library of America can do that is they publish the books in the same style, same format. The last one is Henry David Thoreau's Walden in this Library of America format. I really like these, though, and for whatever reason, whether it's superficial or not, I really like how a book is put together. And I don't often like books with photographs, but many of these are paintings. Some of them are photos, but this one is a painting. I think the other two, I know W.E.B. Du Bois is. This one of Frederick Douglass, I believe, is a photograph that many of us are very familiar with. Yeah, and I think I read Walden years ago in college, but I want to revisit that. So I was excited to pick it up in that particular volume. This next one is fiction that they happen to have on the website, and they do have a pretty good selection of novels. This one has a place in American history. It is The Snake Pit by Mary Jane Ward. And this is not produced in that Library of America format. It's got its own artwork, but you know, look at that. It's got the snake, you know what I'm like. So this is the harrowing novel that forever changed the way we think about mental illness and its treatment. Mary Jane Ward was born in 1905 and died in 1981. She wrote 8 novels. The Snake Pit, I believe, is her first novel. Suffering a breakdown in 1941, 35-year-old novelist Mary Jane Ward was diagnosed, or perhaps misdiagnosed, with schizophrenia and committed to a psychiatric hospital in upstate New York. From that horrific experience came this gripping story. This was the inspiration for the 1948 movie with Olivia de Havilland. The Snake Pit sparked important investigative journalism and state legislation to reform the care and treatment of people with mental illness. It belongs in the company of Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar and Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 2 books it influenced. She wrote this based on her own personal experiences, and the movie production was investigated for including actual patients with mental illness out of, at the time, psychiatric wards. So there was some discussion and some investigation into whether those real-life patients were being protected and treated well. And I haven't read too much into that background of the film, but it was really fascinating. So the topic of mental illness is one that I am really interested in, and was happy to pick this one up and see that it was on the website. Now the next 2 are very small hardcover volumes, and these are poetry. I often struggle with poetry, but what drew me to these 2 were that they are female poets, and I wanted to learn more. The first one is Amy Lowell, Selected Poems, and this is edited by Honor Moore. And I like this little hardcover volume. Let's see, a cigar-smoking proponent of free verse modernism and open rebellion against her distinguished Boston lineage, Amy Lowell cut an indelible public figure. But in the words of editor Honor Moore, what strikes the modern reader is not the sophistication of Lowell's feminist or anti-war stances, but the bald audacity of her eroticism. She is attributed to having written some of the most explicit and elegant lesbian love poetry since Sappho. She was born in Boston, Massachusetts, woohoo, in February of 1874, and she died in May of 1925. She posthumously won the Pulitzer for poetry in 1926. When you look at pictures of her, and she is being described as kind of masculine and kind of ugly. She was very short and very wide, and so she wasn't looked at favorably from her outside superficial image. She was very outspoken and opinionated, very assertive, an avid reader and book collector, and she did not have a college education because her family did not believe that they needed to send a woman to college. She was a socialite, and her lesbian lover's name is Ada Dwyer Russell. She was familiar with Ezra Pound, who was a critic of hers, but a mentor, and remained a spinster, and she crafted free verse poetry. There was one I wanted to read because I looked through and I was looking for poems that discussed her love for Ada Dwyer Russell, and there was one in here. Some of them are honestly a little too explicit to read out loud, but there's one that I thought was really beautiful. Let me get to that one. The title of this one is Opal. It's very short. It's this one right here. And I'm going to read this really quickly. Opal, you are ice and fire. The touch of you burns my hands like snow. You are cold and flame. You are the crimson of amaryllis, the silver of moon-touched magnolias. When I am with you, my heart is a frozen pond, gleaming with agitated torches. So there are more in here that are much more descriptive and explicit, but her free verse poetry is really beautiful, and I'm looking forward to reading more from Amy Lowell. The other one is this little green volume, and this is Emma Lazarus Selected Poems, edited by John Hollander. And again, it's almost the same size volume. Emma Lazarus was born in July of 1849. She died in November of 1887. I think I said 1849. It wasn't 1949. She was a poet and a writer, multilingual with German, French, and Italian, which was interesting because, again, women at the turn of the century, or actually this is the late 1800s, the late 19th century. I'll get my dates correct. Women were not educated in that way. There were obvious exceptions, but she came from a Sephardic, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Jewish family. She studied American and British literature. She was first published as a teenager between the ages of 14 and 17 and considered Ralph Waldo Emerson a friend of hers. She was a fierce advocate for immigrant Jewish rights, and she helped establish the Hebrew Technical Institute for vocational training for Jewish immigrants. And I don't believe she ever married, very strong advocate for immigrant Jewish Americans and basically for all poor, poverty-stricken American immigrants who needed and wanted to raise their station in life and receive an education. Now I'm going to read one of her poems, The New Colossus, and you're going to recognize some of the wording in here. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed, sunset gates shall stand, a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor with twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This was written in 1883, and it became engraved on a bronze plaque at the foot of the Statue of Liberty in 1903. That gave me the chills when I received this book and I was reading through it and looked into the life of Emma Lazarus. And I have one last one. This is in a different slipcover and it's really pretty. This is American Religious Poems, an anthology by Harold Bloom. And this is a really pretty printed slipcase. This is the volume here. Very, very pretty. Gold foil accents and text, got some texture to it. This has poems from all different types of poets. And I was kind of a little anxious when I ordered it that this is going to be filled with religious poems from dead white men. And it is. There are many there, but there are also religious people from all different walks of life, all different genders and colors, all different times in history. There are poems from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Emerson, Cotton Mather, Emma Hart Willard, Lydia Huntley Sigourney, William Cullen Bryant, all kinds of, I mean, there's 2 poems from Emma Lazarus. These are just some of the listings, so there's too many for me to say. Edith Wharton, W.E.B. Du Bois, Walt Whitman, Herman Melville, all kinds in here. And I've been looking, honestly, for religious poetry, and this was such a gorgeous volume that I was happy to find it. So that is my Library of America collection so far, and it's growing. It will continue to grow. I will continue to receive volumes from them and to pick some out and to buy more. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what I get with my next subscription shipment. Write me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these books in this collection. There's no sponsorship. I am not trying to sell anything or plug this subscription. It's just something that I was excited about for myself and really happy to own these beautiful books. So hope you liked the video and the content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.